Okay, what's going on, boys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to a weekly tactics update. But this video, we're going to go over my favorite tactics that I've used, or the most overpowered, or for me, the custom setup, which is the most overpowered myself. I'm going to walk you through them individually, one by one, so you can get a bit of a glimpse of what I'm talking about, and also my thought process on why they're so effective. Now, one thing I want to mention to you, this is also very important, is this is just my personal preference. As I said to you, what you might see here are certain things that I've adjusted. So for example, we're going to start on the defensive one. Now, the 4-2-3-3 third variation is probably the most defensive formation and the one to go for me. For my skill level, I don't need a 4-3-3 to be candid with you. If I really need to, I can switch to it, but I realistically go for just a typical. This is a typical 4-2-3-1 year in, year out that I go for. Forward runs, and the width I kind of change depending on the patches. This is because sometimes people play more narrow, more wide, depending on patches. Whatever the meta is, the lengthy meta, they change the way people played, so I do alter it. But between 30 and 50 widths where I go, and I put about 4 or 5 players in the box. Now, I don't cross the ball. For those of you that watch me, you know I pass the ball around the edge of the box. I don't cross. I don't also shoot outside the box. So that is why I leave it on 4. And the rest, I leave it just pretty much on default. The striker stay forward, getting behind, and same with the cam. And the lam and ram on balanced. Now, what I may do is, if I am, for example, 2-0 ahead in the game, I may use comeback and offense on these 3 players for more stability. But again, as I said, because on my skill level, I can just sit on a 4-2-3-1 the entire game and I don't have to worry. Because most of the time, I'll be honest, I'm not really down. If I am down, normally I would change to a more of an ultra attacking formation anyway. So it's either I'm on this formation 90% of the time, then I'm on the rest. And that is against the average player. And then what I do here is I have stay back, conservative, overlap, just as you probably seen in my videos. And if you are watching this now as well, don't forget on my FIFA School Series uploaded, I think by the time it's uploaded, it should be New Year's Eve. There's a video going to be on the Division 10 to Elite Division series on my FIFA School, patreon.com/NealGuides. Link is down below in the description, or you can see just over there somewhere anyway. And it'll be something like that. Then the second formation it comes in now, I'll be honest, I only really use 3 formations actually. I do have an alternate slot that I use sometimes. This does depend on the game, okay? It really does depend on the game. I would like to veer between 5-1-2, but if I had to put my kind of go-to, the best of the best, I'd probably have to put down the 4-3-2-1. This is just typically because of the way the meta is right now. It's still probably one of the better formations inside the game. I can't even find it. There it is. But I play it different than everyone else. I put all these players on stay central, and I put the centre mid on stay back, cover centre box for cross. And I leave these guys on get forward. Now I don't actually use the left back and right back to go forward. I don't attack with them. It's the same with the 4-2-3-1. I can always trigger these players myself manually inside the box. That is the way that I would use them. So this would be the way that I will do it. I'll be honest, the width and the depth very much the same. Build up play, long ball most of the time. Sometimes occasionally I would use fast build-up play, but I would say long ball and DP, direct passing. That would be a good staple of what I would use. So I would start with the 4-2-3-1, and then I'll only use this formation if I'm struggling with the 4-2-3-1. Most of the time, this is a rare occurrence because I have a striker and a cam that plays like a 4-4-1-1. That's how, by the way, if you ever see me make a 4-2-3-1 video, they're actually playing like a 4-4-1-1. But if you go up against the better players, the elite division players, especially when you're going towards the latter end of the weekend league, you're going to start struggling with just one striker. And that is where I may turn to the 4-3-2-1. But even then, I can always bring a striker going forward in a 4-2-3-1 anyway. So, but this is the way that I would play it. And I have one guy, of course, sitting. And then because I've got very versatile players here, I'll put Vasquez in the middle there. And then I would do it just like that. And then what I may do sometimes is I might move Neymar, or I might take off one of these players and put Tecatito in the middle. And then it would go to the best formation still in the game for my liking. And people say it's not usable this year, the 3-5-2. People claimed it wasn't usable last year. But then one pro used it and the whole community changed. I still think it's the best formation in the game, in period. I use this all the time. Now, I don't use the one with my striker on comeback and defense for the pure reason I'm only using this formation if I can't get through. As I said to you, if you can't score with this formation, you can't score with any formation. It's a 4-1-2-1-2, 4-2-3-1, and a 4-4-2 all together in one formation. I've explained this already. And that is why I say this is a good staple. Like if you are struggling with FIFA right now, this is the go-to formation. And if you can't score or play with this formation, it's 100% your gameplay. I put comeback on the fence on both of these guys, get it behind and get into the box for a cross. I do use hug the sideline, which everyone seems to forget. If you are going to be using this, make sure you use hug the sidelines. Don't put stay wide on them, put hug the sidelines on. And then what I will do, for example, here is I would move someone like this. And then I'll put someone like Tecatito over here. And then I may put someone like Vasquez there. And then what I will do is, recently playing Rodrigo in the striker, doesn't really play the best. But that is kind of the way that I would line it up. Now, as I said, I sometimes do overlap on the left centre back and right centre back. It depends. Now, this is also more important. Now, the actual defense. Now, I use pressure on heavy touch because it's similar to balance, except for the game only presses win a good chance you win the ball. For those who don't know, I'm a very, very aggressive defender, almost too aggressive. In fact, I'll be honest, if I wasn't as aggressive, I would win even more games, but it's all about enjoying yourself. And for those of you that watch me, you know, I run out my centre backs like a maniac, but I enjoy playing that style of football. In my tutorials, I teach you how to play the basics, and then once you get to that level, then you can run out with your centre backs. But you have to understand that I do that because of my ability and my ability to recover. And that is why if I try to teach you the same way the pros try to teach you that way, if you don't know the basics, you're going to concede. So understand what I'm doing here is purely for my playstyle. So this is not just for you guys just to copy and paste these texts and think, you know what, this is the way to go to. Depth a bit high. As I said, I will incrementally move up these formations, okay? Then what I will do, for example, here, with a chance creation, I'll leave it long ball forward ones. I may occasionally use slow build up play, but I still use long ball. It's the way to go, and something similar to this, okay? It's not going to be exact. I change it here and there, fine tuning it, you know, every week in, week out. Depends, you know, do I have, for example, players in my team that can dribble a little bit better? I might have a more narrow width. I might want a wider width. If, for example, I got Ginola and Ronaldo up front because Ronaldo's a bit more clunkier. I need more space. So all those things are, of course, taken into account. These are small, minute adjustments. And again, this will not be the formation to press with. So if I was, let's say, for example, if I was losing, what I may do is I may pause the game and then just go to this one and just change this to sort of possession loss. But most of the time I press manually with teammate contain. And again, I want to reiterate, teammate contain, don't use it until you're in the elite division. There's a reason why it takes such a long time for people to get better at the game, because they use teammate contain and inadvertently when they're playing, when they get frustrated, they press this button and they end up conceding more goals. That is why I say learn the basics first, then apply teammate contain when you're ready. It's kind of like, imagine you're driving a car, you want to learn manual, and you want to start using heel to toe and start rev matching when you don't even know how to drive a manual car in the first place. So learn the basics first, then you can add everything else on top. But that's the way that I play the 3-5-2. Again, my striker doesn't come back in defense. This is pure, I want three players to stay forward. I get the ball back, I defend in a 5-2. When I get the ball, I go forward, and I normally have pacey players here, and they get it behind, they're ready to go. And that is how I play a 3-5-2. Now, for this formation, I do exactly what you do, okay? Exactly what everyone here does, and I use the 4-2-4. Now, what I may do is, this is something that I do, which I wouldn't recommend unless you are very quick at making the changes, because you don't want to waste a pause for this. What I might do is, I might start the game like this. So I put this guy, stay central, come back, stay central, come back. So what this is what I normally do is I put all these guys and come back, stay back, cover center, stay back, cover center, and left back, stay back, stay back. This is what I do, okay? So then what I will do is, I'm moving the name over there. That, okay, that's fine. Valverde there because he's a bit slower. Not slower, but a bit more clunkier. Slow moving the ball forward. Two actual players in the middle. And I put Godfrey over there and Vieira at centre back. Okay, so what I might do, for example, with this formation is I might start it on press after possession loss. And that's why I recommended using this first. You can always use team press if you want to. So this is why I say I only really use three formations, because I would start with the 4-2-3-1 all the time. for my skill level, to be honest, most time I can probably go straight to a 4-2-4. If I know my opponent is much more of a smarter player, he or she might be a bit more on the back foot, but will try to get through my press, I will go straight to a 4. So I might try to apply pressure in the beginning to show my force, to show pressure, and then go to the 4-2-3-1 inside the game. And then I would stay on this the entire game. Now, I would use a 3-5-2 if I'm really in trouble. And this is why I say, for example, this second slot, it's a good formation and I use it, but sometimes I feel like I just go straight from the 4-2-3-1 to the 3-5-2, because the 3-5-2, it's more fun to play. You have more players on attack. In fact, sometimes if I'm just want to play for fun, this is like just want to go on, have some fun, I would just stay on the 3-5-2 the entire game and then use the 4-2-3-1 to close the game out. And then I can always just apply that pressure myself manually. But a lot of you players, especially those that are new to the game, may not have that ability to press, so you need something like the 4-2-4. And then what I do is so let's say, for example, if I am, let's say 2-0 down inside the game, and let's say I'm up against someone who really knows, I'm not saying like I'm 2-0 down, I got a bit unlucky, I'm on a 4-2-3-1 and I'm creating chances. Let's say I'm in a game, nothing's coming to 4-2-3-1, he's got 2 CDMs, I'm struggling really hard, and he's holding the ball majority of the time. Then I'll pause the game, go to constant pressure, and then put these guys on join the attack and get forward like this. And that is what I will do for both of these players, and that would be my kind of comeback formation, and then I'll go back down. But again, as I said, a lot of them are the exact same that I mentioned. It's just some small minor changes that I made for myself, certain things that I do for my playstyle. This is what I encourage you guys to do the same. You know, it's fine to just copy and paste these tactics. Yeah, it works good, and it probably does help you as it is. Like if you consider your setup, my setup probably takes you about that level. But if you want to go to that level, you want to make those fine tunes yourself. You know, do you need one of the strikers to drift wide? So as I said, try it as that. And that is why also we go through different formations every single week. Trust me, but as I said to you, look, if I wanted to take the mix, I could just waste my time and not upload a 3-5-2 and a 4-2-3-1 and a 5-1-2-2 and just release nonsense formations. But you guys know I don't do that. But that's why when I try to use different formations, like for example, the 5-2-1-2, it could equally replace this 4-3-2-1. It just depends on what team I have, how the game is playing. Right now, people are playing a lot more narrower, but they're also playing wider because of the faster players in behind. So the 5-2-1-2, whereas maybe a month ago, it would be considered useful. But now with, of course, you have the players that are not just lengthy anymore. You have the explosive players that, of course, are a bit more better as well. It makes it easier for me to use the 3-5-2 and more narrow formations. But that is just something I wanted to mention. And that is my tactics video. One for the favorite one for one of my favorites. This would be kind of my go-to. I may change this 4-3-2-1. As I said, similar to my week in, week out, I may tune this here and there, but the rest are there to stay and they won't be moving. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, if you want to get better at FIFA, you can come join my FIFA School Series, which I've not even set up yet, that advertisement, but it should be here, bottom of the screen. Or if you're watching this at the end of the video, you should be able to click in. As I said, don't forget, we started our Division 10 to Elite Division series, where we just go to Elite Division using a cheap team. And it's all on my Patreon. It should be just over here, patreon.com/NealGuides. Don't get bet up to 1 month, send me a message and I'll refund your money. That is how sure I am of my service. NealGuides guarantee. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take it easy. And of course, I'll catch you next time. Have a happy new year. Peace out.